Good morning. It's Bad Brad. The birds are chirping. The sky is overcast. And it's another morning here outside of Nashville. I want to talk to you today about the casting couch. An experience I had way back in my time when I lived in Los Angeles. It's a lot of crazy things that happen in this business. You never think you'll be in a weird situation. You're faced with, all of a sudden becoming an insider in the music business. And you never think that this is going to happen. You think you get opportunities. You think that you're getting a shot. Maybe it's not at all what you thought. So I was living in Hollywood. It was an apartment building called Lanwood Pines. My roommates were Keith Howland, who eventually ended up in the band Chicago for 27 years. And my other roommate was Lance Morrison, the bass player who played on the Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette album, and went on to play with Don Henley and many, many others. He's currently in Mike Campbell's band from Tom Petty. Those were my roommates. It was three talented musicians living in Hollywood. They at the time were going to GIT. I had already graduated GIT and was starting out, trying to find my way in Hollywood, in the world. And, we were all three kids from Virginia. Small town kids. Hadn't spent a lot of time in the big city. Didn't really know how things worked. So I had a girlfriend in a small town in California called Temecula. And I would go down there for the weekend, get away from the big city, and get back to that small town feel. And that was one of the things that brought me to California as opposed to New York. Is I felt like in California you could get away. You could go out, in those small towns and breathe some fresh air on occasion or go to the beach. So I was coming back from my girlfriend's place for the weekend. It was probably a Monday morning or maybe a Sunday. No, it was probably a Monday. And I pulled my little red Mazda B2000 truck into the driveway of the apartment building. And as I get out to put the key to the gate entrance or whatever, a guy pulls up and goes, "Oh, hey man, you're from Virginia?" And I go over and I talk to him thinking, this is another fellow Virginian, this is another, and he starts talking to me. He just seems as normal as can be. "Hey man, you're from Virginia?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what are you doing out here?" I said, "Well, I guess I'm a musician like everybody else." And he says, "Oh, wow, very cool." He says, "Well, are you working?" I said, "No, I'm in between jobs right now. I'm looking for work." He said, "Man, I work for A&M Records, and we're looking for interns or whatever. So maybe I can help you out. I said, oh man, that would be awesome. He gives me his card, and A&M Records. And at that time, A&M Records was literally walking distance from where we lived. That was La Brea Avenue, and A&M was pretty much at Sunset and La Brea, and we were between Sunset and Hollywood. So, and you could walk to it. It was right there. It was that you would see that building every day, and you knew Herb Alpert was the CEO or whatever, and you would see the pictures of the albums that they were putting out. And I'm just a kid from a small town. I'm like, man, this is great. So he gives me his card, and I'm thinking, man, I just made a connection, and I think it's because this guy's from Virginia, which I never really did. He never said, oh yeah, I'm from there, but he definitely used that as a way to, as an introduction. So was this guy out, trolling, or just happened to be in the neighborhood? I don't know. But I call him up, wait a day or two. I call him up and I said, hey man, we met the other day. I'm from Virginia. He says, oh yeah. He says, well, look, come by the office at this time. Dress nice, come by. And, we'll see, bring your resume, or whatever. So I go down there, and, wore a shirt, a nice shirt, and, some high-end jeans. At the time, it was acid wash was the, you were hip, you were cool if you had acid wash jeans. So I put on my acid wash jeans and a nice shirt, and I go in. There I am. I go to the front desk. Oh yes, he's expecting you. I go in the front desk, and I go in the office, and believe me, this guy seemed, up and up. There was nothing peculiar. There was nothing peculiar about this guy. And I go in the A&M Records office, and he's at his desk, and it's, typical record company. There was albums and stuff on the wall, and he had his desk, and there was stuff on the desk, and I sit down in the chair in front of the desk, and, he asked me, tell me, what you're doing out here and what you've done and this and that. And he's, so I tell him, I just graduated from GIT, and I play music, and, I write songs. And he says, well, look, you need work, and I'm going to send you to Electra Records. They're looking for someone to run their mailroom. And, so, here's the, address. Here's who you contact. I'm going to call ahead, and, make sure after, you go, give me a call. Let me know how it went. And then he goes, so what are you doing later on tonight? And I said, I'll probably be playing guitar or practicing. That's what I like to do. He says, oh, okay. Well, go on to your interview and give me a call, afterwards. I said, okay. So I go down to Elektra Records, and, I was excited to go in there because Elektra Records was where, who put out all those Doors albums that I had, liked, and I think maybe even Billy Idol was on there. But I remember going in there and seeing there was an album, a rap album that had come out called We Like the Cars That Go Boom. And I saw a promotional copy of that album with the poster there on the wall. And I go in and I interview for the mailroom position. But I know that I have zero experience doing anything in a label, let alone running a mailroom. And I didn't even really know what running a mailroom entailed. But, I filled out the application. I gave them my resume. My resume was filled with all guitar type stuff. And, I left Elektra Records and went back home. And I didn't call them right away. I went back to the apartment. My roommates were there, Keith Allen, Lance Morrison. And, I told him, I said, the guy sent me on an interview. And, but it made me feel weird. He asked me what I was doing, tonight. And, it made me feel kind of weird. They kind of joked about it, and I was a good looking young kid at the time, I had a good look. I was in good shape. I knew how to dress. I was tan, everything going for you. I was in my 20s. I was probably only 20, 21 years old. And so later that night, or late that afternoon, the phone rings. I think Keith picked up the phone. And he comes in, he goes, hey, that guy's on the phone. And they kind of rolled their eyes like, And so I pick up the phone, and he asked me, how did the job interview go? And I say, I told him, I said, well, I applied, and, I guess the interview went okay, but I don't have any experience running a mailroom, I don't. So I don't really expect to get the call back. And he said, well, it's probably been a while since you've worked, And I said, yeah, it's been a while since I've worked. He says, well, you probably, need money, right? And I said, yeah, definitely money would help. And he goes, well, I know a way you can make $50 an hour, but I can't talk about it over the phone. What are you doing tonight? And I was like, okay, this is bizarre. First of all, this guy works at A&M Records. I know that. I was there. But a way to make $50 an hour. Now, this was 1987, 1988. That's a lot of money for an hour's of work. You're not going to just get to do easy work, legal work, for $50 an hour. What was it? Was it dealing drugs? Was it doing porn? But all I knew was my creeped out level had reached a breaking point. And then he says again, "What are you doing tonight? Would you like to go to dinner?" And I just went, I'm not feeling well at all, and I'm staying home tonight. Oh, okay. And I said, thanks for sending me on that interview. And I hung up the phone, and it was so creeped out that I got in my car and I drove back down to Temecula, California from Los Angeles. And I spent the rest of the week in a small town, just trying to get that big city creepy feel out of my mind. I don't know what he was proposing I do for $50 an hour. And I'm glad I don't know. But one thing for sure, he took particular interest in me. He did not come off as any persuasion. He did not come off overtly in any way. But, the entertainment business has some really dark and hidden things that go on behind the scenes. And I don't know what it was, and I didn't want to know what it was. The whole thing just creeped me the F out. And I'll never forget it. I never forget feeling that if I'd have just gone along and gone out to dinner with this guy, it would have progressed in another way that would have creeped me out even more. I wasn't willing to do anything to make it. I never have been, never will be. I wasn't willing to take a chance even. I wasn't willing to just go hear what this guy's spiel was and what I could do for $50 an hour. I just wanted to play guitar. I just wanted to play in a band. I just wanted to make it. But I wasn't willing to sell my soul in order to do it. And I think that's important. If you're just starting out in this business, are you willing to sell your soul for a few sparkly rubies, for a fistful of dollars? Are you willing to sell your soul for $50 an hour? I wasn't. I don't think you should be either. If you'd enjoyed this content, please hit like and subscribe. Hit one of those links in my description from Amazon or Sweetwater. If you purchase anything, it helps the channel. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. There's more to come. 40 years in the music business. There's more to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.